In this video, we'll be going through the manufacturing features of StockTrim. For manufacturers, there are two main use cases that StockTrim is used for in terms of your inventory planning and demand forecasting. Firstly, to calculate the recommended quantity of finished manufactured products to build or assemble based on your customer demand. And secondly, the recommended quantity of related components or ingredients to buy from your suppliers so that you have enough raw materials to make these products. So to see this on the order plan, you can filter by the manufactured items. Then, for each of these, you can see the forecast and suggested quantity to manufacture. You can then expand the components to see the resultant forecasts and order quantities for each component in the bill of materials or BOM. The forecasts are based on the quantity of the finished good multiplied by the BOM quantity of each item. This is obviously a very simple example of a chair and a table, and the bill of materials in your business will probably be much more comprehensive than this, but the concepts are still the same nonetheless. You can then expand out the whole hierarchy to see multi-level bills of materials to cover both subcomponents and assembly bundles. So an example of a subcomponent, you have the chair as the main product, and then a leather seat, which is a subassembly, which is in turn made up of subcomponents. As an example of a bundle, you have a dining room suite, which is made up of one table and 4 chairs, each of which has its subcomponents as well. You can go down the hierarchy from the top level assembly down to each subcomponent. Or you can do the opposite. If you search for a component, you can expand out the products and go up the hierarchy to see all the built products that it is used in. If you bring up the demand analysis of a component, you can see how the forecasts are calculated as the finished product's demand multiplied by the BOM quantity. In the sales history table, you can see the effective usage of the component in each sale of the finished goods. If you have manually overridden the demands in a finished product, this effective usage will then filter down to each component. And you can see this in the components forecast graph. Then there are a few different scenarios that you can configure in settings under manufacturing and assembly. If you are able to quickly assemble products, you may not need to have all of them made up on the shelf, as long as you have enough components to make them as required. In this case, you can set it to include the component stock level and the built product stock level. In this case, the suggested order quantity of the finished good will then be reduced by the effective proportion of the components on hand that would make up the built products, even if they haven't been made up yet. You can also do the opposite scenario. If your manufacturing time is intensive, you would want to ensure that you have the products already built and on the shelf to meet your customers' demand. So you'd build them in advance as long as you have enough components in stock. In this case, if you have sufficient built items on hand, you may not need to order more components. So you set it to include the finished goods stock level and the component stock level. This will reduce the components suggested order quantity by the effective amount that they are used in the on-hand finished goods. This next setting, if you find that you have duplicate sales history records for your components, which will be evident in the components table, in the sales history table, or with a bloated forecasted demand, it's probably because you have recorded in your inventory management system both the sale of the finished good as well as the component use explicitly. We don't recommend doing this because it's better practice to calculate the component use from the actual finished goods sale times the BOM quantity. But if you do this anyway, set this setting to ignore the BOM sales history and avoid the duplicates. You can also enable location analysis for components if you want them to show at multiple locations, which is not included by default. Finally, if you have a discontinued product and you want to reduce your future component demand as a result, enable this setting. Usually you wouldn't because discontinued products are replaced by others that often still use the same components. So there we are. That's the manufacturing features explained. If you have any queries or want more information about this, please get in touch with us at support@stocktrim.com. Have a great day.